Hi all, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to folks in Myanmar. Welcome from Arusha. Hi, my name is Thynn Win, and I'm the co-founder and Chief Technology Officer of the SourX. I'm very excited to be here to share the experience of deployment of this Mojaloop in Myanmar. Today, I would like to discuss about a brief introduction about the SourX and the OnePay Journey and what's next and some suggestions that we have along the way. And after that, our Chief Operating Officer, Lin, will also share from the operation perspective. And we'll hopefully have some QA time after that. About us, the SourX. We are a fintech company founded in 2016. We're based in Myanmar and recently expanded to Singapore. We're now certified by Singapore Fintech Association. There are 49 members now in Myanmar in different countries, members in different countries. And there are 3 international partners working with us, sharing the journey to reach our mission. These are Motorsbox, Musoni, and Mifos. They all start with M, and if there's any M, we'd be happy to partner. Our mission is to power financial inclusion. We'd like to be one of the forces that transform the societies where many of them have limited or no access to credits or financial literacy to break this vicious cycle and empower them to rise out of poverty. So that's our mission from day one. And here are our solutions to that end. So we put our solutions into 3 pillars. The first pillar being the digitization effort, the second one insight, and third being access. They're in all 3 different categories that we are trying to implement to reach our mission. In digitization pillar, we are accelerating MFI's growth in Myanmar using the award-winning core banking systems like Musoni, Mifos, and we help them digitize for their outreach. Another digitization effort is this OnePay. It's a payment switch run on Mojaloop, and this is a payment network, real-time payment network that we are deploying, and we are just finished the FUT phase recently. We'll talk about more here. Digitize real-time payment for us here, or at least here, is like for convenience, but for people in Myanmar, it's very much needed thing because they have a lot of cash that they have to carry around, even to disperse money and collect money along the way. It could be really risky for some people to have to carry around this heavy bag of cash to get the collection and stuff. So it really will help transform those people who are really in need of digitization effort to expedite their processes. In the access pillar, we have this microfinance credit information exchange that's built in-house in Azure. And this is for giving them increased access to credit. This is for sharing credit information of borrowers in Myanmar. We are now currently analyzing 3 million borrower information monthly. In the access pillar, we help digitize, we are helping the financial literacy, delivering to financial literacy using the digital learning platform and apps. So RE21 is the saving apps that we're giving them to increase the digital financial literacy. In Myanmar, there are 33 million unbanked population. Out of that, there are 5 million active borrowers of microfinance institutions. There are 186 microfinance institutions in Myanmar. We, as Nthisa Works, are servicing 70 financial institutions. And really, 3 out of 4 active borrowers are using our solutions that we mentioned earlier. So it would be really gratifying to see those borrowers using OnePay or the switch and enjoy the benefits of this switch. Talking about the OnePay journey, we are breaking it down into 3 different phases. The first phase being friendly user testing. It's to test it out with loans to the employees of the microfinance institutions. This is the very first phase that we just finished. And the next phase is the closed user group. In this phase, we are planning to transact some control user groups. And then the last phase is to go full scale live with everyone. Oops, this is very small. This is the implementation journey. I'll try to zoom in. 1 second, please. I hope it helps. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm putting it in, as far as implementation journey goes, I'm putting it in different buckets. Actually, 1 second, please. Here, I would like to discuss the timeline first. So this is our timeline in the implementation. So around the first part, the top part is about the releases introduction. The bottom part is how we progress over the development of payment managers, how we onboard people and be able to go live. The very bottom ones are the journey of our learning different components along the way within the year frame. So last year in April, we really started getting serious about learning Mojaloop and implementing this. Beforehand, there were a lot of meetings for engagement and how we would collaborate, join forces with Modusbox. Modusbox is our implementer. Together with them, we've been traveling this journey and we're still going there. So last year, April, we started taking the courses, Mojaloop courses, and it's tremendously helpful. Would really recommend people who want to get started to start from there. We implemented with MIFOs because to experiment how the connection onboarding experience would look like. So we started out with integrating MIFOs just for learning purposes. In the next couple of months, actually a few months, we worked on integrating with 3-4 MFIs. We learned the various scenarios along the way. It's linear here, but in reality, it's a lot of back and forth and discussing and changing APIs based on their needs. There are like partial payment, overpayment, various scenarios that we learn. And in August, we integrated with OK Dollar. That's a wallet that we went live with. And to their credit, the integration was completed within a month's time. So it was really nice that we can get done in a month's time and went live in September. We went live on September 30th with 2 MFIs and 1 wallet initially. So we call that with FUT phase with Finance Portal version 2. The next day, we couldn't close the window, so we had to shut it down for that. But this is one of the very reasons why we're running FUT. We would like to uncover these kind of things. And because of that, we learned so much from this experience and we're able to streamline a lot of things for the next launch. So the first issue being the window closing issue. The second, couple of other things like when after settlement, there were balances that we had to key in. So there were some manual processes that were involved. And also NDC wasn't quite reflected. So when the settlement comes back and we upload we key in the balances for settlement processes, the NDC, the net debit cap didn't get reflected. So from the hub's perspective, we feel that it was a little bit risky because there could be a chance where we may be transacting more than what the liquidity account have. So, but all these things were all solved in the next release, and it was really worth the wait. The features that came back is not just to solve the original problems, but even more like RBAC and other things were implemented in there. That was really nice, the outcome of the second go live. So while we waited for the version 3, we were working on connecting more MFIs and wallets in the development phase. And in December, we were able to go live again, this time with the 2 MFIs and the wallet. Here, the introduction of initiation report and the settlement initiation report, the NDCs reflected properly, like really nice. And we were happy to see the RBAC as well for the auditing and everything, different roles and permissions. At the same time, we launched this branding of OnePay in December. Over the next couple of months, we added 2 more DFSPs, 1 more wallet and 1 MFI in it. So altogether in FUT phase, we have 3 MFIs and 2 wallets. So last 31st of March, we concluded our FUT. We learned a lot of things along the way. And on the next slide, I'll try to zone in on different sections of what we've learned. And currently we're gearing towards CUG with even more better features, which we're excited to share here as well. At the bottom, we just want to show the courses, and we focus our energy at first to learning the payment manager, developing core connector, because we wanted to make sure that we make the least friction for people who wanting to participate in this thing, the scheme. So we worked on being able to translate using Apache, Camel, and all that to be able to integrate here. Currently, we can connect, like we're ready to connect for core banking really easily because we've done it. So these are like Bamboos, FinFlex, Mifos, Musoni. These are all integrated already with all these MFIs that we have. So any MFI using these core banking can just come on board for repayment scenario really easily. The other things that we learned are like Grafana, Kibana, PM4ML portal, because we had to teach our DFSPs how to use them, their IT operations, people how to monitor the transactions. There were a little bit of features lacking. Later over the time, we add them a lot. So there for the tech ops, we have to get ready. So we had to learn how to query Kibana, tracing transactions from the beginning to end. We want to give the excellent service. So we prepare the queries and things to make sure that we can meet the SLA in case things get dropped, or so we can trace it early, easily. Then we learned the TTK testing toolkit. That's really amazing because this is one thing that later you will see in the suggestion where we would like to beef up on. So the TTK is really a nice addition that we have, especially for the real-time transactions. It's amazing that we have those kind of testing tools. RBAC we talked about in Oracle and Loki. Later, we even got to a point where we can modify Oracle, check on and add some filters and do things ourselves. So that's as a hub operator, I'm just wearing still hub operator. So things that we can change here and there, we have more control over it. That's really nice that we can add in more features there ourselves. And there's this Loki, that's a replacement of Kibana that's coming up. And we're still learning that. And most recent weeks, we've been learning infrastructure. And the IEC we'll talk later is coming along really well. So our implementation journey, like I mentioned earlier, I would like to zoom into onboarding a little bit and different buckets of things that we've learned and focused on. So loan repayment scenario is completed. We've handled like really well in terms of partial overpayment, all these scenarios that we can think of. Core banking systems have this rounding rule where in digital payment, you can pay exact down to the penny, but they have some sort of rounding rules defined in their core banking system. So if money comes in as an exact amount, they kind of round up or round down. So this money kind of got lost somewhere. So we had to put some rules in quoting phase to make sure that it matches with the rounding rule and reject or accept accordingly. So these are certain things that we learned. And another thing that's different from loan repayment to P2P or regular Mojaloop out of the box is that it requires the fetching of due amount and stuff, because it's like a bill payment. It's not just we want to type in and send pay. It has a little bit of back and forth first, and then we get to pay. So loan repayment scenario is implemented. Loan disbursement is work in progress. In Myanmar, there are a lot of group loans. It's like a de facto thing. They have a lot of loans. They want to disperse it in a batch. So core banking systems we worked with, even originally back in 4 or 5 years ago, they didn't have that. And because of the demand, they added those batch disbursement features in the core banking itself. And now the demand is here as well to be able to disperse it in bulk. So yesterday with Paul, this session, we learned that it's going to be here this June. So I'm so excited to see that. On the other side of things, the payment manager. Initially, this onboarding is something that we first encountered and focus our energy on. So we learned that connectivity is something that's supposed to be straightforward. Here's the WireGuard, here's your profile. You just go set it up. But in reality, we have some DFSPs not wanting to install third-party tools. And sometimes they want to have a public IP even for the internal after the VPN connection. So David had to help a lot in terms of accommodating these alternative solutions. So there were quite a lot of meetings back and forth trying to make it work and changing the IEC later too. So what we learned there is that we can assume that they'll be okay to use whatever tool we push out to use. We have to learn about their policies and things as well. The next part is error handling. Error handling out of the box has like party not found or liquidity, insufficient liquidity kind of thing. It's not helpful to our borrowers who are marginalized and we're still trying to learn and use a new tool. So we had to add local language error messages. So we have to go change all these CCs that we developed to make sure that the messages are very user-friendly, effective, and who they should contact in case they have issues and errors. So there were quite some efforts in making sure the language is things that people can understand, and we have to go changing all these core connectors. The next thing is local language issue. So there was this regex and Mojaloop connector. So some characters are passing, so we would think, oh, it's working with Myanmar language. But we found that there are some characters that was not passing. So if you're thinking of implementing, please test your local characters thoroughly. There could be some regex that's preventing some characters. So portal, that's the payment manager portal. Our ideal thought process is that the FSP operations manager will be logging into those portals, monitoring their transactions, and if there's anything failing, they will be reversing meaning reimbursing funds to their clients, etc. So there were some, when we first launched it, there were some logs that were not quite there yet, but at the end we have it. We even have the export feature, which they can kind of download it really nice and reconcile them. So it's come a long way, and it's in QA. That's why I'm putting it in yellow. Most of the green ones are all done, and yellow is still in progress. Mostly developed, but in testing phase. Logging, because we would like to improve some logging of PM4ML. That's why I'm putting it in yellow. There were some logs that were not there after redeployment and stuff, but they are all sorted out now. So these are a few things that we learned. I believe that will be really helpful for going forward, these things that we've improved together during the FUT phase. Mockup app is something that we had to modify to or make it available, because for dev wallet, like for their dev version, they are not willing to give it out to external user to use it. So for MFIs to be really comfortable using this new channel, we have to give them host a mockup app where they can play around with it, get comfortable, try all kinds of scenarios, crazy scenarios, and then they can be comfortable and they can test it out. So this is something that we had to modify and make it available for them. So all in all, these are onboarding, and the more we have CCs in the early days, the more we learn stuff, the more stuff that we have to modify, but we are very stable at a point that we can just multiply these repayment scenarios. For DFSB, I'm just putting it there. It's not necessarily implementation per se. So their systems, as we work with them, we realized that they don't have like a reserve and commit like two-phase thing. They just like want to confirm and then fire and forget the payment. So if there's anything failing in transfer phase, like put transfer, post transfer, their money is taken out from the wallets already. And so for us, that's a challenging thing. So we really tell our wallet implementer, DFSBs, that please refund them in a timely manner if you encounter that, because we don't want them to face the penalties or interest or late fees. So we make sure that they have a process in place where they can refund them in a very timely manner. In addition to that, we also included a get status endpoint for them, so they can automate it through the API, get all the failed things in an automated way and refund fast. So things that we implemented to better the service. The internal policies, like we explained, some of the DFSB has some internal policies like third-party tools or even the certificate. They try not to use certain certificates. So there are certain internal policies that we have to navigate around. Resource availability is something that Tits also mentioned earlier in this conference, is that they don't always have the resource available whenever. And sometimes things cannot be prioritized, like our project is not as high a priority yet. So there are some resource contention that we faced along the way. Finance portal is another piece that we work with. And the settlement initiation report is something that is really amazing. I was just doing it this way because it really helps as a hub operator with the settlement process. What it does is that we can export the balances at the 2 p.m. when we close the settlement window, and then we can push that report to the settlement bank with their code number as well. So when we set it up, we can set up with their code number and stuff. So they can then upload that Excel to their system and then reconcile them and then give back the adjusted balances, and then we can re-import it back. The neat thing is there is a checkbox where we can check it and say adjust the MTC automatically. So it does it automatically without us having to do that. That reduces a lot of human errors and things from the hub's perspective, and it's this much more safer because we are anticipating 186 MFIs to come in. So that's that settlement report. Another reporting features that we really like is the other day Paul also mentioned that is the ability for the hub operator to develop and push the reports ourselves. So not just the community report, and if we so choose to use a custom report, we can build it. They've made it really straightforward for us to build it and even push it through Git actions, so hook it up private repository and push it there. So it's really nice addition. We do have a fee settlement need, because wallet fees, there are some fees that we have to settle in the future. So the ability to be able to develop reports ourselves is something that is really helpful. The audit feature is being developed right now. What it is that when NDC is changed or when funds are withdrawn or added, we now have a report to see who did what. So that's really nice. RBAC is something that was added. So role management is there. Account provisioning is something that we have it in yellow because we would like to consolidate some creation process. So that's why we make it in yellow for now. The other piece is Oracle. Oracle, we have a prefix Oracle. It's not the same Oracle as the community using because we have our own customized prefix where we're routing to different DFSPs. So we had to add some public endpoint because wallet who wants to show a list of MFIs, they can query this endpoint and show it in their wallet app. It's very much needed because people sometimes don't just read the names. They recognize these different entities by the logos and things. So we need to make sure that people can use it. So that endpoint, we had to add it into Oracle. The upgradability is something that is in yellow because we would like the Oracle to be upgradable. I think it's worked on already. It's just in the testing phase. Security is something I put it in yellow, because red, because it's always we can do improvement on it. So maybe we can tackle some directly harvesting, other things in the future. Another bucket that we're putting is tech ops. So in the beginning, when we first launched FUT, or even in the QA phase, we did face some certificate expiration. Now it's all solved in MCM, and it's really nice that it was solved in that way. We were quite concerned about having to manage a lot of certificates, but it's handled in an automated way, so that's really nice. Release management is something that we had to work on because of a lot of teams, OSS teams, MDX teams, us, and different people. The communication was very much needed. So release process is really nailed down now, and it's kind of streamlined. Monitoring is the Grafana charts and things that we set it up. Bug triage process is in yellow because we still would like to hone the process a bit more to cut down the SLA and stuff. Logs is something that I was explaining about Kibana. Now we are learning to do Loki because it's switched to Loki. Last I checked before this trip, we still have to learn how to do it in the whole transaction, end-to-end transaction. We couldn't quite figure out it yet. So that's still work that we are working with our implementer, Mojaloop, to get there, because being able to trace from the transaction from end to end is really critical for us to be able to troubleshoot the hub. In Kibana, we were able to do that. IAC, I didn't even put the color because I don't know if it's ever done because it's going to be evolving quite a lot. But we are able to deploy the environments and even upgrade them ourselves, of course, with the help of Mojaloop, making sure as a reviewer that we were able to go through that. We are planning to, we've deployed 4 environments in the past, and with the runbooks and now, it's really nice that the processes are streamlined, even the issues are tracked. TTK is something that we talked about. These are the skills that we had to learn quickly. So if you're thinking about running a switch, this is a thing that we had to learn. Our workforce had to learn quickly. So next steps. CUG, closed user group, we are on the verge of getting there. So like the red stuff, I was saying hardened security, that's something that we can always work on, and spread the knowledge, like the sessions in the morning, like David did, or we learn about Paul Baker trying to produce documentations. These are very much needed because the more knowledge the community or the operator has, the more we can troubleshoot and help with the processes. Stabilize the infrastructure, because I think we're in a point where we can kind of stabilize. And one of the things is tool sets that we would like to recommend as well. So in CUG phase, like we said, bulk disbursement and electronic cash transfer, they're kind of very similar behind the scenes. So we put it together. Next phase is live. So it's a full scale launch. This is my wish list anyway, to develop the DFSP portal, because right now we have to produce 2 reports, each DFSP, and host it in a document management system separately and have them access there. So it's a manually drop it, making sure that all the folders have the right files. So if they can self-service, that would be a lot more efficient. Implements fee settlement in the API itself, not through the report, and integrate with settlement banks. That would be good if we can make it through the API. And streamline report generation process, so links and things could be in the same consolidated places. The P2P is another scenario that we would like to run. So this is the last slide about the suggestion. The suggestions are kind of similar to what previous sessions were discussed. So stabilize and drive adoption. We would like to make sure we want to stabilize this platform to a point where we can drive the adoption with all the reach that we have. If the thing is running well, we can drive it up. We can focus on driving the adoption. So this is what we would like to focus on. The next piece is the test for life. So please test, we're saying as a community, ourselves as well, test comprehensively for all the golden paths, like positive cases, negative cases, not just for POC. We want to test it thoroughly for life so that all the APIs be ready, thoroughly tested in life-ready state. Involve users, because we would like to be part of the design discussions and things so that we can all provide the realistic scenarios. Share knowledge is the last piece that we would like to say, but seems like the community and all is already working towards that, sharing the documentations and architectures and stuff. So that's the really pieces that we would like to recommend. The last piece is want to express our appreciation. We believe that we can really work in all the 3 phases that we are pushing towards this financial inclusion, like access, insight, and digitize. This OnePay, we believe, can really move the needle. So we would like to really work on focusing on stabilizing and driving up the adoption here. So we'd like to express our gratitude to all these people on the slides for really helping our country better. So thank you.